On today's DNVR Buffs Live, the number one thing that the Colorado Buffaloes have to be prepared for this Saturday. Let's do it. Let's go.
Coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. It's DNVR Buffs Primetime. Happy Wednesday. How are you feeling?
I feel great, man.
Good.
We closed the book on last week's game.
Yep.
Yesterday, the second the show ended. We closed the book on the infighting. We closed the book on the BS. And we opened the book on Colorado State. And when you open the book on Colorado State, it's a good book, man.
It is a good book.
It's a great book. 68, 22-1. As I uncovered today, I didn't know the stat until today because they actually haven't played in Fort Collins in my life. Colorado has more wins in Fort Collins than Colorado State has in the entire series. Let me just make sure you hear what I'm saying here. If you took out every win Colorado has ever had in any other stadium in this series, which there are two others, Colorado has 23 wins in the series. If you keep all of Colorado State's wins anywhere in the series, they have 22 wins in the series. So, man, I forgot how much I like reading this book, man. It's a great book. And that got me fired up. I'm fired up.
Let's go. I love it.
And by the way, shout out to the fans. I feel like ever since we ended the show, I haven't seen a lot of back and forth bickering between Buffs fans. You know, I kind of like dropped the dynamite in there with the cheap shot university thing.
Yep.
Boom. We're on.
I think the waters have slightly calmed a bit.
All right, let's go.
But they're not totally calm because we do have a rivalry game this weekend. And it's time to get fired up for it.
Oh, I don't want the waters to be calm.
Yes.
But I want the energy to be focused in the right place.
Absolutely.
And I have noticed that so far. So credit to you, Buff Nation. We're moved on. We're ready for cheap shot university. We're ready for Mrs. Delightful. We're ready for everything that has to come this weekend. But I have something to say.
Preach. Go.
And I honestly hope some of the players are watching this because I find it to be really, really important. And if I could teach anyone on the team anything about this rivalry, it's one thing. There is no team in America that wants to beat you more than Colorado State wants to beat you. There's no fan base that wants to beat you more than Colorado State fans want to beat you. You thought Nebraska came out with some energy. You thought that fan base was hostile, and obviously they have a lot more people. But from a want to standpoint, this is little brother. This is the kid that you've been picking on forever. These are the people up in Fort Collins who have a bit of an inferiority complex towards what's going on in Boulder. The people who, you know, had to feel their heart sink when they opened up that letter from the University of Colorado that said they did not get accepted in. These people really hate you. And the reason why I think this is important for the players to know is because you have to find a way to match that energy.
Yeah.
Last week, I just don't know if the team was necessarily ready for what the energy was going to be. And as much as, you know, who was it who went up in front of I think it was Coach Kelly, who went up in front of the team and told them what they were going to have to expect when they went into Nebraska. until you feel it and you see it, and and there's all of that hate raining down on you, I don't know if you can be fully ready. So I hope they're ready for it this year, because I'm going to be honest, Jake, the team was not ready for what Colorado State brought to the table last year.
That's exactly where I wanted to go with it. And it is possible to bring that energy because CSU did it last year coming into Boulder.
Of course. So you got to find a way, dig wherever you got to dig into your heart to find hate for Colorado State or to find motivation for this game. I said it a little bit yesterday, but I'll say it again. Every team thinks you're their Super Bowl.
Yep.
This one's even higher than that. I don't even know what's bigger than the Super Bowl, but this is it.
No, they literally could go 1-11 this year, and if they beat us, then it's...
Their fans will be satisfied.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so this is above Super Bowl. But when you acknowledge that you are everyone's Super Bowl, you also have to acknowledge that every game now has to be your Super Bowl. And again, you got to take it to another level this week. There can be no nonchalant attitude about what's happening here. You have to find a way. And I heard a report from up in Fort Collins, from someone who saw their practice, who said the fear up there is that they're going to be getting personal fouls and penalties throughout the game because they're so fired up.
Surprise, surprise. They got like 10 of them last year.
I agree. But if I'm a coach, I want that problem. I want the problem to be that my team is too fired up for the game, not fired up enough. So the Buffs have to find a way to dig so deep and realize how badly this team wants to beat you. And you got to want to beat them that bad because you're 1-1. The world will be dancing on your grave if you go 1-2.
Yep.
And they'll call this season over. You have to find a way to want this just as bad as they want it because you need it just as bad as they need it.
Yeah, well said.
If not more. You need it more.
I hope that the Travis hit is on replay in the facility. I hope that all those personal fouls are being shown again. That's what needs to be shown in order to, light this rivalry up. Show the Shiloh pick six, the Jimmy touchdown at the end of the game, burning Henry Blackburn, all that stuff. That all needs to be running. We need to summon that energy. When Travis was knocked out last year, that feeling after that play needs to be the feeling going in snap one on Saturday night.
Absolutely. So find the way.
Find a way. I watched a little bit of the film today, and this was a question asked to Coach Prime yesterday. And it's a great question because watching today, it's how do I make anything of this team when they play one of the best teams in the country and then they go play Northern Colorado? I don't know if you have any takeaways from what they've done so far this year, but I've got like 4 or 5 notes. That's all I feel like I could really take from it.
Go ahead.
Well, how they handled Texas, they played a lot of zone. And then there was the quote, I think, from Norvell, right, that or who said it, that they think Colorado has faster wide receivers than Texas?
Yes, Norvell said that.
So
he said might have faster wide receivers.
And we talked about this with Nebraska too, but I'd expect a lot of zone. Cover 3, to be specific, is what I saw a lot against Texas. And then I do think they have a corner that they can expose. Number 3, I mean, Texas was routing that guy up, man. If this team can protect Shedeur and if they can run the football and keep CSU's front honest, I fully expect Shedeur to pick on that guy, Travis to pick on him, whoever it is. Against Colorado State, I mean, they just moved at a different speed. Like that Torrey Horton punt return, he's just moving faster than everyone on the field. That's obviously going to be equalized a bit going up against Colorado, but that injury is looming large because no Kamara. They do have some receivers on the outside other than Torrey Horton, but I don't think it's the group that they had, last year. They have some good running backs, but this is not a better team than the team they played last year.
No, they're not. And I think it's a good thing for Colorado if CSU is predictable in what they want to do on defense. We saw what happened to North Dakota State when they basically said, we're sticking to our Tampa 2. Mm-hmm. You got to find a way to beat it. Shedeur beat it all game.
Yeah, it was a matter of time.
You are going to have an opportunity to just dice up the seams if you're Shedeur. And if they're going to sit in cover 3. Now, there's no way that they'll stay in it the whole game because of what Nebraska showed last week, which was a lot of multiple looks, a lot of rolling safeties down, a lot of trying to shake up the look after the 15 seconds went off. Now, I don't really think that's what caused Colorado problems. I think it's just the fact that they couldn't block those guys that really caused them problems. But from an offensive standpoint, I think that even just knowing that that's going to be their safety blanket, if you will, is cover 3 opens up a lot of opportunity for Shedeur.
I think so too. You kind of touched on this too, and it's something I want to talk about. I don't know what the number was, but it was like 8, 9, or 10 personal fouls that Colorado State committed last year. We already talked about the Travis stuff.
Kept us in the game, to be honest.
Huh?
That kept us in the game.
Yeah. I mean, in this game last year, they had 17 penalties for 182 yards.
That's absurd.
And Colorado had a lot. They had 10 for 87 as well.
That's absurd.
Do you have any concern about Cheap Shot University playing dirty again?
How could I not? How could I not have concern about that? Because, they probably want to put a banner up for this, but they derailed our season.
Pretty much, yeah.
By injuring Travis Hunter. Obviously, that's not the only thing that happened, but that's what got the wheels starting to wobble, because then you had to go to Oregon, then you had to go to, welcome in USC, and you didn't have your best player on the field, or arguably your best player, depending on how you feel about Travis versus Shedeur. And as much as publicly you can never say anything about that, there's a sense I just know for football players, they're like, yeah, we battered them and we bruised them, and they were never the same after that.
Yeah.
So I have to be concerned about that. And I think that probably what they're saying in their locker room right now is like, look what happened to them last year when we punched them in the mouth.
Right.
As soon as we punched them in the mouth, they didn't have a plan. We staggered them, and we had them with their backs up against the wall. We didn't finish the job, but we certainly had them dizzied and wobbling in the ring. And they're right. So to think that they're not going to come in with a game plan of we're going to try to be the most physical possible, that's the way they would brand it, is we're going to be physical. And if you start telling players and enabling them to be as physical as possible, football players are always going to take it an extra step further.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm highly concerned about what's going to happen after the whistle.
I am too. I mean, just look at the penalty numbers from last year. The team obviously was very undisciplined against Colorado. They didn't really have any, care for player safety or playing the game the right way. So yeah, it's kind of scary going in, because they, like you said, they're literally just going to throw the kitchen sink. They have nothing to lose. This is their season pretty much. So, but you just got to come out, like you said, fired up. You got to punch them in the mouth first. You got to let them know that you're not here to mess around, that you're not going to let them do that to you this year. Like, a tone has to be set early for the Buffs. It has to be.
And that's why I would love to see them come out running the ball. Obviously, no Dallin. It certainly feels like Isaiah Augustov.
Yes, good job.
Going to get a lot of touches this week, and he's a power running back. So get out there, and I mean, I would love to see I formation, but I think I'm dreaming if I say that. So get out there and line up in pistol, and maybe even pistol with strong with a fullback or a tight end or an H back. And say, let's go hit them in the mouth first thing. That's what I would want to tell my team, is we're bringing the fight to them. We are not letting them start the fight.
Right.
We're going at them. And it's not with as much as I would love to see us throw a 75-yard touchdown on play one, I would actually rather see us run the ball for 7 yards on play one.
I want to see us control the clock in the first half.
Go out there and run someone over and finish a run with them on their back. And just set the tone of this isn't like last year.
Yes,
we're not just a finesse team. We've got some dogs out here on offense, and we want to show it to you.
Has to be the approach, man. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll get into practice today. We spoke to Nikhai Hill-Green and Coach Hart. I felt like we learned a lot today, though. Do you want to do Empire today?
I love Empire today. Standing on solid ground today.
Yes, sir.
And it feels good, man. No shakiness, no trepidation. because I know the ground under me is as solid as can be. So shout out to our friends over at Empire Today.
My guy's bringing the words.
Who put this very ground underneath us. We can't thank them enough. It looks beautiful. It's held up. And by the way, like the absolute heathens that work at this company have done nothing to take care of this floor. And it still looks pretty darn good. So I'm impressed with Empire Today and the way that they're able to build durable floors for you. So hit up our friends over at Empire Today and schedule a free in-home estimate. And then all listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
And shout out to our great friends over at Bet365. When you download that app, make sure you sign up and use the code DNVR365. And you can get a whole bunch of money and bonus bets deposited directly into your account with the bet and get offer. Just deposit $10 and then place a bet of $5 or more. As soon as that bet really ends, whether you hit or miss, you'll get $200 in bonus bets right into your account. I love Bet365, man. The early money line payouts are awesome for football. 17 points, your team gets up by 17. If you take that money line, that's it. You just get the money. It cashes out. Even if the opponent comes back and even wins the game, you're all set. You must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
23-7-1. Do you know what that is?
Colorado's record in Fort Collins.
Colorado's record in Fort Collins is 23-7-1. The series score is 68-22-1. Mm-hmm. Quick math. I don't have the exact decimals here. That means that nothing changes when you take it to Colorado State. Mm-hmm. It's a 3-1 win differential plus a little bit more.
Yep. I like our chances.
I like it too. I'm excited to see what that stadium looks like with people in it.
Yeah, and that's an interesting... We were talking about that at practice today because the way... I'm sure you saw, like, they sold out the Northern Colorado game on Saturday.
Oh, I did not see that.
Well, they sold it out.
Did they actually?
It's because they sold 3 games in one, basically.
So all the CU fans who bought that 3-game package sold it out for them.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
So were there a lot of people there?
Right. I mean, I don't know. It looked kind of full, I guess, on TV copy, but the TV all you can find on YouTube is 2-minute highlights because they played Northern Colorado.
I've only been there once, and it was for a wedding, and it was the same crowd that I've seen anytime I've tuned into one of their games.
I do think Buff Nation's going to show up for this, at least more than last weekend.
Yep.
And that wasn't even, I think, our fault, really.
No. Also, there's been some debate about what Buffs fans should wear. It's got to be black.
Has to be.
It's got to be black. There's CSU is trying to do a green out. I've seen their own fans complaining about the fact that they haven't done a good job promoting it. So we'll see if they come through on that. Because of that, some CU fans have said, like, well, we should go white or we should go gold. But those are their colors.
Exactly. We go black this game.
Yeah, you have to go. Let's pass that around. CU fans, wear all black.
Yep.
For this game. It's the only color that we can wear that isn't in... That won't look just normal to their stadium.
Right. Exactly. All right, let's get to practice. Like I said, I feel like we learned quite a bit, actually. Let's start with Coach Hart. Is that cool?
Yeah. Just let me know if I'm...
Let's do... Well, I asked Coach, overall, what have you seen from the team? What has their response been at practice since Saturday? And here you go.
I think they haven't lost any kind of confidence at all, but the overall theme is you got to start faster. I mean, we've had 2 games this year, and in both games, the second half was way different than the first half, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So the communication to them is, hey, if we can do this in the second half, let's push that to the first. And then it makes it just that much easier to come out with a win. I mean, North Dakota State played us hard, but that second half helped us win the game. In Nebraska, that didn't happen. But now it's talking to the team and listen, we cannot start slow. We have to start fast and get off to a great start. We do that, then we'll be victorious.
Kind of had the same issue last year, but it was offensively that they started slow.
Yep.
Defensively is, I think, where they're really starting slow this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in 4 quarters of football in the second half, they have given up 6 points.
Yes.
That should make you feel really good if it wasn't for the fact that in 4 quarters of football in the first half, they've given up, 48?
Yep.
That feels bad.
Yeah.
So it's truly been a tale of two halves, and I'm not convinced about North Dakota State. Did you feel a ton of energy from North Dakota State?
I do think they turned it up once they realized after that first touchdown drive, like, okay, we can do our thing a bit here.
Yeah, I honestly think it's kind of about what we talked about in the first segment of like both of these teams coming out with Super Bowl level energy, and the Buffs having to like find their level.
Yeah.
Nebraska was for sure. I mean, you could just tell from the first couple plays of the game that they were absolutely riled up. So I think that has something to do with why the first half, and at the same time, maybe both of those teams burned out a little bright.
Yeah.
And so they weren't able to match their own energy level in the second half once the adrenaline kind of wore off. So I think there's a little bit to both.
Nikhai Hill-Green started at linebacker. We spoke to him. We'll get to hear from him here in a second as well. But Coach Hart shared, kind of why he's starting and what he brings to the table for this team and this defense.
Wait, sorry, Trevor or Nikhai?
Nikhai.
Well, just his experience playing the game. I got a lot of guys in there who's done that, but he's been on the big stage before. He's got a great IQ. I mean, the tests that we give him in the meetings, he's aced all of those. Plus, I think I've said that before. In my room, there's never a secure starter. So every week when you go into it, someone else can win the job. And he's came back. He's fitting very well in practice. Knew call out the plays in practice. So I went with him as a starter.
Coach Hart also kind of spoke about how well LaVonta Bentley's been playing. He's dealing with a foot injury, but it feels like with Bent and Nikhai, the Buffs really have probably their best 2 starting linebackers they've had in the Coach Prime era.
Yeah, I loved what I saw from Nikhai. I don't mean to, bring up old things, but it's kind of surprising because that's what I expected from Nikhai Hill-Green when Colorado brought him in here. But for whatever reason, I guess that didn't pop as much in camp. And obviously we know Trevor Woods had a great camp. But, if you look back to when Nikhai Hill-Green was brought into Colorado, we both were like, yeah, that's a starting linebacker, potentially even a captain of the defense from day one. So really great to see. And LaVonta Bentley is absolutely playing out of his mind. And he's like a true college linebacker. I love it.
Yeah. And I think that might have something to do with some of the slow starts because obviously Colorado's kind of figuring out personnel a bit still on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball too. But defensively, they were trying to wait for Nikhai to really pop up or Jeremiah. We heard that those were the 2 guys pushing Bent and Woods in the last few weeks of camp. We had to wait for Barnes to come back. The secondary, I think, has been really, really solid going back to the first snap of week 1. But it's just figuring out that other stuff, and I think that that's really what contributed to a lot of the slow starts, especially, North Dakota State and Nebraska, because they were trying to run the ball, pick up, short intermediate yards, and they weren't really testing the secondary. So the front 7, I think, is more solidified now and more figured out. And that gives me quite a bit of confidence for this defense going into the first quarter on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Just also with Trevor, because we spoke about him, Coach Hart said he's going to have a slightly different role coming into this week. So here it is.
So Trevor, in the first game, he was very he was in the game plan for that against North Dakota State. Here again, he's going to be in the game plan again for our dime packages and also some of our other packages where we want to put more guys who can cover on the field because this team is a little bit different, right? They're a tempo team. How Mummy's over there. His son is over there. So there's going to be a lot of air raid in that, and you want a guy who has those type of instincts that can help us out in the back end when we get a little bit of a lead and they start trying to throw the ball. So that's our thing.
So the chat was talking about this when the show started, about the crossing routes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how everyone still kind of has a little like PTSD from the crossing routes last year and all that. But I think Trevor, this was like the first game last year, right? The Colorado State game when they finally moved him down into the box.
Yep.
This year, though, having him play that like dime linebacker, especially when CSU is going 5 wide or it's third, second and long, whatever it is, and you just have him there in the middle of the field, I think that could really help in that department. Obviously, there's a lot going on coverages wise and all that still, but they recognize the issue and they're attacking it.
Yeah, I mean, my hope for whatever play comes up this year that causes Colorado issues is that Robert Livingston, based on the adjustments that I've seen him made in the game so far, has the counter. I think that was one of my most disappointing things from Charles Kelly last year, was that it never felt like there was a counter punch from him to whatever was working for the other team.
Right.
You know, you can play some flat zones and even drop a lineman into the middle there to try and stop up those crossing routes. You know, in the game that we don't speak of, like drop a defensive lineman into that area where they're throwing slants.
Yeah.
Like there are things that you can do to counter every move. It's what makes football the most beautiful game, in my opinion. It's all chess. Every move has a counter move. Last year, it didn't feel like our defensive staff was prepared with those counter moves. So far, what I've seen from Robert Livingston is you're not going to be able to do the same thing all the way, maybe even down the field, let alone through an entire game.
Right.
Split zone gave them a lot of problems last week in the first half. Not really in the second.
Mm-hmm. No, I think Robert Livingston's been great, especially in his adjustments so far. Again, LaVonta Bentley seems like he's dealing with a foot injury. Coach Hart sounded optimistic about him. Just my read from hearing him answer that question, I think LaVonta starts on Saturday. He said, he's been with the trainers, but he's been taking mental reps all week. He said he's kind of chomping at the bit, like most players are when they're held out, to get going. So he's I would expect mostly the same, LaVonta Green from the get-go, if not the same LaVonta Bentley on Saturday.
I would guess he's playing, or else I don't think they would have been talking about Trevor playing in dime packages.
Definitely.
And things of that nature.
Yeah.
I would guess if Bent couldn't go in a game, it would be Nikhai and Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe Johnny Chaney's ready to go, or someone else.
Yep. JB, yeah.
Coach
Hart kind of spoke on the atmosphere last Saturday. He said it was college football at its best. And he kind of mentioned what we talked about in the first segment. Like, CU's just going to get everyone's best shot, and he knows that, and I feel like the team has been hearing that message. If they haven't been hearing it since the day they showed up at the Champions Center, they're definitely hearing it this week, and I think they're ready for another, prime time, bright lights. You're going to get the other team's best shot type of game. So,
yep. I'm going to quickly derail, and this will be hopefully the last time I talk about this.
No, please do.
The idea that Charlie Offerdahl is playing because of like Coach Prime wanting a good story, or they want it for the documentary, is maybe one of the most asinine things I've heard of this entire era. Football coaches don't do things that they don't think is going to help the team win. Now, I will say this. As much as coaches don't like it, sometimes there are guys who are better practice players, and sometimes there are guys who are better game players. Mm-hmm. And when a season starts to unravel, or not unravel, but show itself, you start to learn things like that. That everything you thought you knew in fall camp isn't exactly the way it has to be on the field. Mm-hmm. But to insinuate that Coach Prime is putting some sort of mandate down to play Charlie Offerdahl because it makes for good television is asinine.
The whole Charlie discourse is asinine, in my opinion.
It is. And it's disappointing. And let me just also say this. When we were up there in Boulder for Buffs media days.
Yes.
3 separate players went out of their way unprompted, not when we were on camera, just off the record, when we were just talking ball with them, to tell us how awesome Charlie had been in practice. So again, not some sort of like conspiracy behind the scenes and everyone's, wringing their hands over, I can't believe they're doing this. Like, the team really believes in Charlie. And they believe that he earned his spot.
You guys just got to relax with the Charlie arguments.
On the same note, it's not working yet. The running game has not been good. And other guys need looks.
If Dallin was healthy, I guarantee you he's probably starting this week.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand why this is still a topic when we all know that Dallin is probably going to play a lot more when he's healthy and ready to go. He's just not healthy and ready to go this week, so you got to play who you got.
And I don't even think really people are talking about this week. They're talking about last week.
Let's get to Nikhai, but first.
And also, I hope Micah gets out there. I want to see these guys too. The thing that I'm pushing back on the most is that this is being done for an ulterior motive that has nothing to do with football. If there's one thing I know about coaches, and every coach I've ever been around, is that all they want to do is win. Period.
It's time to chill. Shout out to Coors Light. Our great friends. If you cannot make it up to Fort Collins for the game and tailgate with us, come on down here to the DNVR bar. We got Coors Light on tap. We got the Silver Bullets. We got the Stubby Banquet bottles as well. But it's also just going to be a vibe down here. Everyone's chilling, hanging out, watching ball. And it's all thanks to our friends over at Coors Light. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get it delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Big shout out to Coors Light. Got a fridge full of them right now.
The homies.
Also, shout out to Circle K. Everyone loved our Circle K video. Getting ready for the road trip. Can't wait to keep hitting up Circle K and keep having them supply us with our snacks for the road throughout the whole season. They're the absolute best. They're also fueling us up for the trips. So you should become an Inner Circle Rewards program at Circle, an Inner Circle Rewards member at Circle K, and you are going to get discounts on snacks, discounts on gas, discounts on everything you want to get from Circle K. So hit up our friends over at Circle K. Go to www.circlek.com/inner-circle for more information on how to become an Inner Circle member.
Nikhai Hill-Green, has he spoke on the podium before?
I don't remember.
Well, he went up there and he was great. I mean, we talked to him. You know how he is.
He is great.
Let's do... Oh, shoot. Sorry. I accidentally copied over Nikhai's stuff with Coach Hart. What is the first clip, Alyssa?
First verse, second half, CU, and then on CSU.
Okay, so here's Nikhai's response to what is the difference between the first half and second half defense at Colorado.
Just start fast. I wish we came out in the first half how we did the second half, but we made our adjustments, and it's just a mindset thing of starting fast, and that's what we did. And just bringing the energy. That's what we're going to do for here on out. That's what we've been doing for these few days of practice, just coming out with the energy.
Starting fast. Nikhai gets it.
I'd love to see the Buffs go out there and be the more energized team.
They have to be.
Yep.
That I think that's not that they haven't come out or they've come out flat. I think they've maybe been flat-footed at times, literally. I mean, the Trevor Woods long pass against NDSU was kind of like a gut punch at that point in time. The way Nebraska just kind of ran down the field on Saturday, I think, was a bit of a gut punch as well. So with Nikhai starting now, I think that, we already talked about it. They've got the best probably duo of linebackers starting since Coach Prime has been here. And I think it's going to be pretty impactful just having proven, experienced guys who've been on the field for a lot of football captaining this defense from the get-go. And it was Nikhai's first game, first start last week. So I'm willing to give him a bit of a pass.
He did bring the energy from the first snap. Him and Cam, I thought, stood out to me in terms of, coming out with their hair on fire.
Mm-hmm. Here's on Colorado State's offense, right? So here's Nikhai on Colorado State as well.
Fast team. They got some pretty good running backs. The quarterback, he has some experience. A good team overall. They got a lot of schemes that we'll have to be ready for, and a solid team overall.
Something else he also talked about when asked about Colorado State is faceless opponents. Because obviously he's coming in, from Michigan, Charlotte. We've got a lot of guys coming in from all over the country here. And they're kind of learning CU tradition on the fly, right? But when we talk to Chidoze, all you need to do is see the hit on Travis, and it's they're fired up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while they're still kind of, learning the importance of the rivalry game, I think for this one, it is a faceless opponent, but you have those extra motivational factors that could get players like Nikhai, like Chidoze, like Will Shepard, especially fired up for this game.
Forget faceless, man. Put Henry Blackburn's face on every one of them.
I like that too. I can't remember what the last one is, Alyssa. I'm sorry. What is it?
You're fine. Just on CU overall.
Oh, this is why Nikhai was asked, has CU lived up to his expectations since he joined the team, basically?
Okay.
It's exactly what I thought. A lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of NFL experience, a lot of life experience, and I'm enjoying it. And really, I'm just trying to soak up as much information as I can and get better each and every day.
Nikhai, what did you?
His just approach to football and being a teammate and a leader is something that I really think this team needs, but this defense needs as well. So I'm just really glad that we have Nikhai Hill-Green on our football team.
Yeah, absolutely, man. A calming presence. I mean, even just me sitting here listening to him through the screen is calming to me. And that combination of calming in the locker room and fiery on the field is perfect for a defender.
Yep.
I would think that Ed Reed was like that, when you hear him speak to the team, it's passionate yet calming. And then you see him on the field and he's just an absolute dog.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I got that vibe just from hearing Nikhai talk on the podium today. Everything's kind of on fire around us, right? The fan base is still kind of simmering down from last Saturday and all that. But he really, I think, has a great perspective on where this team is right now in the context of the season, where they are in the context of non-conference play with the rivalry game and all that. Nikhai he's got it, man.
Hell yeah.
He really does. Last few highlights from this. Nikhai was talking about, not being able or not. Did he play in week 1? I think he got on the field maybe a few snaps.
He was out there, yes.
But he was just talking about, never phased him. I prepare the same way if I'm backing up someone as I do as the starter. And that's kind of what we just talked about, that presence that Nikhai Hill-Green brings to the table in terms of his maturity, leadership, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
That is press conferences today.
All right. What else we got?
We can hit a break real quick, or what?
Nothing.
What are you laughing at?
I'm just waiting for my quarterback to call the play.
The quarterback might be out of place. That was it from today. It was very quick today.
Yeah. All right. Well, where do you want to go with this? You want to talk a little bit more about your takeaways from watching the film on CSU?
Yeah, I mean, so this is something, I guess, box score scouting or whatever, but I didn't see them get a lot of pressure on Ewers, right?
Yeah, almost none.
And there was very limited pressure in what I saw. I had very limited plays in what I saw from the Northern Colorado game. Colorado State this year has 1 sack.
Wow.
1.
Was it on yours or the other guy? I'm guessing the other guy. When I was watching Quinn Ewers play against Colorado State, 'cause I watched that game live, it was almost a little bit silly. He was just playing target practice.
Mm-hmm. It was against Texas, the sack.
Okay, all right. Could have been an Arch, because he did come into that game.
Arch was making plays too, bro.
I know. With his feet.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I almost was like, I'm gonna need to see Ewers in another game. It was like shockingly nonchalant from him in that game, because it honestly looked like practice. Now, Colorado does not have the line that Texas has, but the fact that they didn't get a sack on Northern Colorado should be alarming for them.
And it should be something that you can come into this game on Saturday and hang your hat on a bit. I mean, we talked about it. You know, Coach has mentioned it. People have thrown out screenshots from well off and stuff like always, and they're mixing and matching the offensive line. They're trying to figure some things out.
And we told you yesterday there will be a shakeup on the offensive line.
Yes. But look, man, like, you got to feel good about protecting Shedeur coming into this game. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to come in with the mentality that whatever changes you make are going to work, but also that this is kind of an opponent that maybe you can tune up against too in that regard.
Yeah.
That you don't have to worry about a Mo Camara like last year coming off the edge, screaming off the edge. Like, he was a monster in that game last year.
Did he get drafted?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay. Anyways.
But that's just another kind of takeaway from the film, is that Colorado should be able to protect Shedeur.
Complete side note, speaking of getting drafted.
Uh-huh.
Marshawn Nealon, dude.
Yeah, man.
What happened?
I wish I could tell you. This was on my radar in like February when I hear Daniel Jeremiah going, this guy's a top 50 player. And I'm like, damn, that would have been a game changer for Colorado
It would
last
have been so big for them last year, dude. And then he just goes out to the Cowboys, which, by the way, again, total side note, the Cowboys had like a historically great draft. Potentially. But like all of their guys that they drafted played amazing the other day. They got a corner out of it. They got 2 offensive linemen out of it.
Yep.
They got Nealand out of it.
Yep.
But anyways, I was like, Nealand, like, I think he had a sack in the game, and I'm just like, what the hell, bro?
Yeah, he went 56th overall. Camara was a 5th-round draft pick, by the way.
All right. Anyways, yeah, he was a game changer in last year's game.
Yep. From what I've seen from BFN,
He's a gunslinger.
he's fine.
He's a gunslinger.
Yeah, he's fine.
He has a good arm, a plus arm, I would say. He can make some really, really great throws that will make you say, wow. And he can make some boneheaded decisions that can put his team in really bad positions. I saw when you were watching the Texas game earlier, like, they have like this kind of gimmicky trick play to take a shot down the field, like a fake pitch or whatever.
Yeah.
He's got all the time in the world. And then he just like back foot lobs it up into triple coverage and throws a pick. And it's just like, well, what are you doing, bro?
Yep.
So you saw it last year. I mean, he made throws in that game that were just like, damn, I'm surprised CSU has a quarterback that can make these throws.
And that was his first career start, I believe, too.
And it was. And he was playing freely and just kind of slinging it out there. He also threw the pick 6 to Shiloh. So I would say that BFN is on the upper scale of quarterbacks I've seen Colorado play against Colorado State. Just because of his arm talent. And so it's not, to me, it's like, I don't know if he scares you, especially if Torrey Horton isn't out there, but you definitely want to take him seriously.
So last year, looking at his game log, I mean, his best game was against Utah Tech. I think we can all kind of throw that one out there and agree on that, right?
Didn't know that was even a school.
There you go. His next best game in terms of completion percentage and yardage, Colorado.
Yeah.
So he obviously kind of felt the moment, right? Maybe elevated his play a bit in that game last year.
Well, and it's the no film game, right?
Yes, that too.
I think he came in at the very end of the game before, if I'm not mistaken.
He threw 20 passes in that game the week before.
So they had some film. But, I mean, also, let's call a spade a spade. Colorado couldn't defend one route, and they spammed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like never mind. They spammed that route over and over and over and over and over again, and for whatever reason, Colorado didn't react to it. And good on him for taking advantage of it, because he just kept going. He just kept throwing it.
Yep.
Throwing it well.
There's no update on Torrey Horton. That we're probably not going to get one.
Right. There's no more Norvell media.
Well, tonight is the coach's show.
Let's go.
So keep an eye on if we get a sunglasses and hat comment or a delightful comment or whatever. Tonight is the night it'll come out.
Brother, I was in Philadelphia last year.
Yeah.
We just launched that market. And so I was 2 hours ahead of everyone.
Uh-huh.
And between when that show happened on, Wednesday night?
Yes.
And when I woke up on Thursday morning, like no one had really seen it.
Right.
But like,
yeah,
I saw it because a CSU fan posted it as like a good thing. A CSU fan with like 12 followers.
Yeah.
And somehow came onto my timeline. And so I was the first one to be like, oh, we got something here. And it was like 6 a.m. Denver time when I posted it. And, you know, of course, that altered the entire rest of the week. That was a fun time. I wish there was a camera on my face when I was watching that for the first time. Like before most people had seen it, I was just like, there is no way he said this.
I remember being up here right when Well-Off dropped the day after, because like you said, the clip was kind of going around, and then Well-Off dropped. It dropped early that day, I think, too. And I remember pulling it up, and there it is, Coach responding to it, just getting fired up. And I was just like, oh, man,
and
here we go.
And then the machine kicked into gear. Shout out to Constance and Smack for turning that into millions of dollars of sunglasses sales. Whole team got a pair. That was the whole part of it.
So make sure to bring your hats and sunglasses on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have them.
Oh, yeah.
Have to. It's like part of the uniform.
Trying to think of what hat I want to wear. Because I wore a hat and sunglasses last week. It didn't work, so I'm going to have to change up something.
I mean, I don't think we're blaming your hat and sunglasses for last week.
I blame everything for everything.
I think you're okay, bro.
If something that I don't like happens, I have to evaluate everything that I could have changed.
Do you have like game day shirts and then like a win-loss column next to them?
100%.
You're insane.
If my team loses an important game, now it's like if I wear a Nugget shirt and they lose a regular season game, doesn't count, doesn't matter. I'll take a little mental note of like, okay, that one's got a loss on the resume. Like, let's just monitor it, make sure it's not a problem. But yeah, in football, we've only got 12-ish games here. It's one and done.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a shirt and you lose, you're out for the season.
That's fair. All right, last break before we get to questions. Shout out Red Hawk Roofing. Tail season. So don't wait. If your roof needs attention, hit up our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing. They're great friends of DNVR. They're DNVR fans. And there's the Hawk, which makes us big fans of them. You can't always see how bad the damage to your roof is from the ground. That's why you should call our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing. Best in the business. Supporting your local teams means also supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921. Make sure to tell them DNVR sent you.
Also, shout out to Westera Credit Union, Jake's
homies.
best friends.
They are my best friends.
They just launched the 90th anniversary CD that offers a 9% annual percentage yield. Yes, you heard that right. 9% annual percentage yield on a 5-month certificate of deposit. You can start by earning high interest on balances as low as $500 and a max of $3,000. It's insured by the NCUA, and this will only be offered for a limited amount of time. So head to Westera CU. That stands for Credit Union. .com. It's WesteraCU.com to learn more. What do we got from the people?
What do we got? To Toyota chat we go. Artemis asks,
Someone scare Alyssa. She's got the hiccups.
What happened to O. Miller? What happened to O. Miller? I don't know.
Nothing.
Okay. I don't know.
As far as I know.
I don't know what the question's in reference to. I have no idea.
I think someone said wipe his Instagram and
Oh, Lord above. We don't have time for this week. Colorado State is in our way.
Kicks. Where are y'all going to be tailgating?
We don't have a tailgate this week. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're not welcome there. Which is, as Bucky would say, that's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
So, I'll probably be tailgating somehow, some way, but we don't have anything organized. It's unfortunate.
That means I have no idea what I'm doing before the game tomorrow or on Saturday then.
Yeah, me either.
Interesting. We'll figure it out. Nicholas, when are y'all doing a pregame show Friday? Of course.
And pregame show Friday will probably be early. So keep that in mind.
And then tomorrow we'll bring our guy back, Scott Proctor. I saw someone asking about that earlier in the comments. So,
all right. It's going to proctor the test.
Did you see when we were driving to Nebraska, there was a town called Proctor?
No, I did not see that.
It was OR, though, not ER.
Proctor.
Brian, Omarion and Draylon, are those two in or out? If not, get players who will stay with the team. Don't need selfishness now. It sucks, but I'm sick of the negativeness right now. Oh, boy.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and this has nothing to do with those two players specifically, because I truly don't know what this is in reference to. But it truly is like, are you in the foxhole or not? Mm-hmm. The season has only just begun.
Yeah.
The team is 1-1. You don't like what happened last week. That's when you actually are supposed to tighten the hatches, get closer together, strengthen your bonds. And so, regardless of if that's even true or whatever, like, it is now time to find out who's really in the foxhole with you.
Omarion should know this more than anyone because it wasn't until week 6 against USC when he really blew up.
Yeah.
Also, his Instagram's just completely wiped. It's not just wiped of CU stuff. It's just
Gone.
empty. It's empty.
Just has 0 things.
He archived everything, yeah.
Okay. Does he still have a profile picture?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
It's him in like a
Some water.
pool. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's, what are we talking about? Like someone said someone's mom is upset about how, we are 2 weeks into the season. We don't have time for this. I'm being so serious. We're moving on from this.
Trevor, but even Bentley can play. Don't we want to save him for Baylor and beyond? They got to win this game, man.
Yeah.
Colorado's got to win this weekend.
There's no saving anything right now.
Yep.
And obviously, if he's not healthy, he can't go.
Right, exactly.
But if he can go, he goes.
Yes. Elizabeth, is Wester overly blessed, not in the rotation? Even Wade. Destin is the edge rusher, or Keaton's the edge rusher, right?
Yeah.
I think he's been hurt for a while.
Okay. As for Jay West,
Yeah.
I haven't seen him out there yet.
It seems like there's
a
4
lot
or
of
5 other guys in front
There's
of
a
him.
lot of players in that room.
Yeah. Will H. Is the whole team going up the road to Colorado State? Are they allowed to dress out if the game is so close by?
That is a great question that I do not know the answer to. That would be a good one to circle back to when Unk is on the show.
That's a great question for Friday. Yep. MLN, how concerning is it that CU's 25 recruiting class has only 7 prospects committed? What is the strategy, portal/high school ratio, going to be after Shador/Travis leave to the league? Guys, this time last year we had no commits, I think.
You want to know what I'm concerned about? The fact that they can't and haven't run the ball.
Yes.
The fact that the pressure got to Shador last week far too often. The fact that they haven't found a way to start strong. I understand the question, and I'm not trying to dismiss it.
Yeah.
But there are much bigger concerns, and when this team starts winning, the other stuff will take care of itself. But to this point, 7 is what, more than they had last year, right?
Right, yeah. So I want to correct myself. Micah was committed. Brandon Davis-Swain was committed. Eric Brantley was committed. Who else kind of from that that you remember? Can you remember anyone?
No, I think you hit him.
So look, and Corey literally talked about this in this room right here. Like, they are going to shift more towards high school as the program progresses and everything. That's just, the roster was terrible when they came in here in 22. So they are obviously shaping it to be more of a, traditional recruit high school, develop 4 years type of school.
Yeah.
And if you follow the young coach, Corey Phillips, on Instagram, you can get a preview at what might be coming, at least what some of the targets are. So
there you go. Also, who knows if this can happen, but if they do get Juju Lewis, that could be a floodgate moment.
Duke's talked about that when we had him on. Scott talked about that when he's been here one of the many times. We've talked about it endlessly too. Like, Juju's one of those players. You get his commitment, you get a wave that comes after that. So let's we'll get to it when we get there, guys. Boxing Truth Serum says, would it hurt to huddle up every now and then so the defense would have to make late decisions? I think it's a double-edged sword because I think the offense wants to see the defense too.
The advantage right now of getting to the line is you have longer time with the headset to communicate with Shador and get a look at what they're doing. And I think CU views that as an advantage for themselves, and so they're trying to capitalize on that. Tell you what wouldn't hurt, though, is lining up under center once in a while.
Yes. Big TZ in the house. This will be a true test where the CU line stands. If we can hold up against CSU, where do we go from there? You still got to get better, I think. Like I said, this team only has 1 sack coming into this game. So you're going to face much better pass rushes. You're obviously not going to face one as good as it was last week, but the arrow has to keep pointing up. Like, you can't just stall out and, be satisfied with whatever happens on Saturday. The arrow's got to keep going. The team's got to keep moving.
100%. And I would say that this is a little bit of a swing vote. So they held up very well, I thought, against North Dakota State. They got mauled against Nebraska, the offensive line, that is. If you can hold up well against Colorado State, to me that means the arrow is pointing in the right direction. Then you go up against Baylor, who's not going to be as talented as Nebraska, and then you set a new kind of marker. Okay, can we hold up against them? Okay, that's encouraging. There's a decent chance that you don't face a front as good as Nebraska has the rest of the season. So that could be the worst it looks. Mm-hmm. This week will start to give you an idea of how close could it potentially look to that throughout the season. And we'll see how the shakeup works. They're shaking things up. And so we'll see if the coaching staff has a kind of rabbit in the hat that they can pull out here.
Yep. Kristen, guess who's leading the nation in time possession? Oregon State. Anthony Hankerson at 117 yards per game with Tank and Wells blocking. Seems like a philosophical decision we're not making. Yes or no?
It's so hard to say without actually watching their games. Who did Oregon State play?
That's what I'm looking up. They have played Idaho State and San Diego State.
It is a philosophical decision. I'm willing to say that. But let's see, what it looks like against other teams. I don't know if they play any other teams.
North Dakota State's better than Idaho State, and Nebraska's better than STSU. That's all I can tell you right there.
For damn sure.
Yeah.
Who do they have next?
They play Oregon on Saturday.
What?
This is what happens for conference realignment. This is why we're playing Colorado State and Nebraska in September.
But I didn't know they even kept playing that. Like, no one else is still playing their rivalry games that got broken.
I think there's a couple this weekend, actually.
Sick.
Let me go pull up the schedule. But, it's just like us.
Because I saw, Oklahoma State's not happening. A few other ones.
Well, week 1, it was West Virginia, Penn State.
Yeah. What about like Washington State? Is that happening?
I think so.
Okay. Well, cool. I'm excited. We'll see how they, again, Oregon's going to be a tough test for them, but also Oregon has looked like shit, especially against the run.
Yes, they have.
So it'll be a good test for them. And to be clear, I'm pulling for them.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of those guys.
Who were you asking about? Washington. You want to read this? I'm going to look this up real quick.
Sure. Joshua Dixon says, what's Coach Phillips?
That's this weekend.
What is?
The Apple Cup.
No
Yeah.
way. Okay, damn, we got some good ones. Thank God none of my friends wanted to get married this weekend. Joshua Dixon said, what's Coach Phillips' Insta name so I can follow prospects?
The young coach.
Was there an O in that? Or is it just straight YU?
I'm pretty sure it's
Spelled out?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next
I
question?
will double check here.
We're on to Super Chats. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your Super Chats. East Coast Kev says it's only week 2 of football, but I saw a pattern from last year and got concerned. But at the end of the day, there are colleges doing worse, i.e. Florida State, and Oregon almost lost to Boise. Forget Boise. Oregon almost lost to
Idaho.
Yeah. And I thought they should have lost to Boise. Is it Jonty? Is that how you pronounce it?
Ashton Genty.
They say Jonty on College Football 25.
Justin has been saying Genty all off season, so
You trust Justin or Chris Fowler?
I mean, look, if Justin knows one thing, it's Mountain West football. So,
anyways, that dude is a monster.
Yep.
Absolute monster. Will say I did play him with Rice in the college football playoff last night.
Mm-hmm.
And the Owls are on to the semis.
Nice. The Blazers have a big game against Alabama tonight.
Nice. We put up 80 points.
Jesus.
It's a nice 80-42 shootout.
All right, we got to get out of here. Randalytics says, removed all CU stuff from his IG. What's going on? I don't know, guys.
You moved everything.
Big TZ, do you think too much emphasis is on practice? Showed out in the USC game, but never in practice. Replacement players have been balling also well. I hope we see Micah.
I don't think you would find a coach in America who would tell you that you can put too much of an emphasis on practice.
No.
There are times where you just learn things. For example, Tim Tebow. He was absolutely incapable of completing a pass in practice.
Mm-hmm.
He was also kind of almost incapable of completing a pass in a game. But you know what? When push came to shove, he just found a way for half a season to win games.
Eric Decker's down there somewhere, baby.
Yeah, or just I'm going to scramble around and, run someone over and finish this run and get a first down. It is true. Some guys are just gamers.
Yep.
Coaches hate having to rely on that.
Mm-hmm.
And, it makes sense. If we did practice shows here, and every time you had to do an ad read, you fumbled all over your words and didn't get the CTA and just moved on.
Yeah.
How would I possibly sit here and be like, Jake, you got that ad read? I would just be let me just take the ad read.
Right.
You got to be able to see it. Now, at the same time, when push comes to shove and you're in the game and you're looking for a spark and you just need anything, you're willing to go against your better judgment and just say F it.
Yep.
We need something to happen here. Let's go see if the kid can ball in the game.
Exactly.
It's why sometimes you'll see a quarterback get benched.
It happened to Cormani last year in the USC game, remember?
Totally, yeah. Sometimes you just need a spark and you're saying, okay, I'm willing to do it. But I don't think any coach in any level will say you can put too much of an emphasis on what's happening in practice.
Yeah. Big T says headset's only an advantage if they snap before 15. I get what you're trying to say. I don't think that's necessarily the truth, though. Because defense has a headset too, up until then. So.
Yeah. Also, it's chess.
It is.
It's more chess.
Alrighty, guys, we're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow with.
I do think there could be an advantage. Sorry, I'll just end with this. I do think there could be an advantage of snapping the ball right at 15, because the defense could be in their ear saying, "Okay, when it hits 15,
now
roll."
Yes.
And so you can catch them in between.
It's a good point.
All right.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow. You have anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, we'll see you guys then. Let's
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.